What's up guys, Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. Today I'm going to be moving on to the main event in this video. I'm going to be talking about Annabelle Creation here, alright. Of course, it's from the Conjuring series, so let's talk about Annabelle Creation. Now, Annabelle Creation, we're introduced to the Mullins family, so it's Mr. Mullins, Mrs. Mullins, and their child Bee. They call her Bee, like a honeybee. This is like the 1950s, 1960s. We see they have record players, like you put a vinyl on there, and so we can pretty much tell from like the cars and just the way things look. It's definitely, older, a few decades, 1950s, 1960s. So there's a tragedy that happens with the Mullins, and unfortunately their daughter passes away. We fast forward 12 years or so, and we're introduced to these two girls who are orphans at this Catholic parish named Janice, who suffer from polio and has to have a brace on her leg and walk with a cane, and her best friend Linda, and they kind of vow that they are going to be adopted together so they can be sisters. So this Catholic parish, run by the sister, is basically the head of these, in charge of these girls, right? They move to the Mullins house because the Mullins, they allow these people to come into their house, and I think it's because they miss their daughter so much. But all these orphan girls are moving into the house of the Mullins. Okay, this is the family who lost their daughter, and they love the house. It's fantastic and grand in their opinion, and it's better than anything they've seen in the past anywhere they've stayed. And so they're all finding their rooms and their beds and everything, and Janice walks up to this one room, and Mr. Mullins is like, it's locked and it's to stay locked, nobody can go in there. So one night there is a note that slid under the door, and it says, "Find me." So Janice leaves her room and she goes into the room that was supposed to be locked, and she sees a doll in there, and she thinks it's weird, for one, that it was unlocked, but then there's like a doll that's in this closet, and she keeps closing the door, and then the door will open again, and then she closes it again, and then it opens again. Then she takes this sheet and she throws it over the doll, and then she closes it again. The door swings back open, and then there's a figure that stands up with the sheet on, and wow, that was just, that was really scary and eerie to me. So that was, whoa, that was very scary. So she talks to the sister, and the sister's like, "Hey, you didn't even think about how this would affect the other girls by disobeying the rules. You need to think about everyone else before you decide to disobey the rules. The Mullins have opened their home to us, and we need to abide by their rules." So seemingly she understands, but unfortunately she keeps going into the room, and there's another very scary moment where she seemingly sees this little girl, and she asks the girl, "Well, what do you need from me?" And the little girl's like, "Your soul." And that was, wow, that was a very scary, that scared the crap out of me. So that was a very scary moment. And, we find out that the Mullins invited this entity into their home because they thought that, they'd have a chance to see their daughter again. They could either hear her voice or see little glimpses of her, even though their daughter wasn't alive anymore. They just wanted to have kind of the presence of their daughter. But, unfortunately, they find out that this was not a benevolent spirit. It was quite the opposite. It was a malevolent spirit. And when they invited it in, it started to just prey on these new girls who are in the house, and they eventually they eventually are unfortunately killed by this demonic presence, because she actually takes Janice as her new vessel, basically. And then Janice is, killing the Mullins as well as attacking the other girls. So that's very terrible. You had these good people who just wanted to do the right thing, and unfortunately, they're killed by this demonic spirit who is inhabiting Janice, this little girl. So I have to say, this was a really, really good movie. Very creepy, very scary. There's one scene where her best friend Linda, she realizes that this doll is no good, and it's doing bad things to Janice. So she takes this doll. She walks out in the night, in the middle of the night. She throws it in the well, and then the sister she comes out and she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Why are you at this well in the middle of the night?" And something reaches out of the well and grabs her, and the sister has to save her. And they go back into the house, and Linda's like, it's fine, it's okay now, I got rid of the doll. And then the doll is right there after she just threw it in the well. So, oh my gosh, so many good, terrifying scenes in this movie. Just a really good horror movie. So Annabelle Creation was really good, creeped the hell out of me, and it was a great watch. I give Annabelle Creation a good 8 out of 10.